And we are live. Welcome back with Murphy Mac to another episode of the Fitness Beginner Podcast, where we help you get started on your fitness journey. What is up, everybody? Hope you're having a great day, great week so far. I just realized this is episode 140 of the podcast. So we're getting up there. Close to that 150 number. That'd be a cool little milestone to hit, 150. That'd be cool. So we've been doing the podcast for a while now, a little over 2 years now. So still enjoying it. I'm still doing it. So thank y'all so much for tuning in each and every week. I appreciate y'all. If you haven't yet, shameless plug, go ahead and subscribe to the podcast. I'm on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, pretty much anywhere you think of, we on there. And tell a friend about it. Share it with somebody. I appreciate it. Yeah. So today's podcast topic, we're going to talk about a quote that I heard. It's probably been 2 or 3 years ago now that I've heard it. And I don't remember exactly who said it. I've heard it from several people, but the first time I heard it, I remember it sparked an interest in my mind just like that. Like as soon as I heard it, it clicked. And I was like, that makes so much sense. Like that's it. Like, and this is a quote that I've lived by to this day, literally since I've heard this quote, and it makes so much sense. And it's a simple quote, but it says, the quote goes, never take advice from someone that you wouldn't trade places with. So like, what do I mean by that? What do I mean by wouldn't trade places with? Literally that, like if you could put yourself in their shoes right now, would you do it or would you not? And obviously this is very dependent on what you're taking advice for. Obviously this is a fitness podcast, so it's going to be more fitness related, but this rule actually applies for every area of your life. Literally anything, any area, your job, career, your family, your relationship, whatever it is, this rule applies. So just think about it. Like, think about advice that you've received from someone that you probably wouldn't trade places with. And if you wouldn't trade places with them, like if you wouldn't take their life right now, like if you wouldn't swap with them, do some Freaky Friday type stuff, and you wouldn't do that, then you probably shouldn't take advice from them. And it's pretty. When I heard this, it just clicked and it made sense, and I've kind of lived by this ever since I heard that, because it makes so much sense. And I know it's hard in the fitness world because there's so much stuff out there, so much contradicting information and things like that. But really, I just want to talk about it because I like this rule for every aspect of your life. So obviously, like, if you're trying to get fitness advice from somebody, you're probably not going to take some advice from someone who doesn't work out, for someone that's not quote unquote healthy, that does not practice what they preach. So that's the thing. You got to practice what you preach. I'm a 100% believer in you got to walk the walk. You can't just talk the talk. Like if you're just talking the talk, I'm not going to listen to you. Like I'm not. Until you start doing what you are preaching, what you're saying that you're going to do or that you do, until you actually start doing that, I'm not taking advice from you. I'm just not. I just don't think it's smart. I don't think it's good advice. I mean, and I may be wrong. Like it may be great advice. It may really be good. But if you're not walking that walk, if you're not actually doing those things, then I'm probably just not going to believe you. Now, I know it's not always the case that it's bad advice. A lot of times it probably is good advice, but I'm not going to, like, it just don't make sense to do that, take that advice from somebody that's never done that before, or it's not where you want to be. So like, think about where they're at in your life. Is that where you want to be? So for example, I'll use this example, like starting a business, creating a business, running a business. If you're trying to start up a business, you're trying to run a business, are you going to take some advice from somebody that's has no business and they're in debt, they got credit cards ran up, like they're not doing what they say? Like they don't, why would you take advice from somebody on how to run your business when they don't run a business themselves, or they haven't been successful with it in the past? You want to take advice from somebody that has done what you've done, that do what you want to do, that's where you want to be in your life, like somebody that you would trade places with. So it makes too much sense. Like not to, like this is such an easy rule to follow. Like why would you not follow it? And it just don't make sense to me. But yeah, I'm trying to think of some other. There's a lot of examples. One that I know a lot of people are not going to agree with me when I say this, but a doctor. When it comes to a doctor, like I'll be honest, if you're a doctor and you don't look healthy, if you're not quote unquote healthy, I'm not going to see you as my doctor. I'm just not. And I'm not saying you're a bad doctor. That's a bad doctor, and they don't know what they're talking about. They probably do. If they literally went to medical school, they probably know what they talking about because they went through 12 years of school. But if you're not practicing what you preach, then I just don't have much trust in you. You know what I'm saying? I don't. If you're not practicing what you preach, it don't make no sense. Like, why would you preach? Why would you tell people to eat healthy, to exercise, and do all the right things, but you're not doing those things yourself? So that's just how I believe. I mean, that's just what I think. I mean, I know a lot of people will probably disagree with me on that, especially when it comes with the doctor example. But I'll be honest, like if you're fat and out of shape, you ain't working out, you ain't eating right, I'm not seeing you as my doctor. I'm just not. And that's just a personal thing. That's just how I am. You don't have to think that way, but it is what it is. It's just like if you want to run a business, you're not going to ask somebody for advice that's never ran a business. Like you're not going to do that. It's the same situation. If you want some marriage advice, you're not going to ask somebody that's either never been married or has been divorced. Like they don't know what they don't have good marriage advice for you. I mean, I'm not trying to be rude, but they just don't. So why would you try to get advice from them when they don't have what you want to have? They're not where you want to be. So don't take advice from them. I mean, it's pretty simple. I know we get a lot of like crazy top advice online nowadays with all the social media and stuff, and you got a lot of these young influencers that are giving all these advice and tips and things to do, and that's great. I'm all for it. I like it a lot, but I mean, what do they know? They're young. They haven't really done much. I mean, I'm a prime example of one of those people. I'm only 25 years old, and I'm sitting here trying to give people fitness advice online, and I'm not that old. I hadn't been around as much as a lot of the other people. So you may not want to take advice from me, and that's cool. I totally understand that. But somebody that's been doing fitness they've been doing it for over 25 years. I've only been alive for 25 years. They probably know a lot more about fitness than I do. And let's just be honest. Like they do. They know. They've been there. They've done that. They've been through all the struggles, the ups, the downs. They've learned. They've put the work in. So they probably have better advice than I do. Let's just be honest. I mean, and I still learn from those people. Like I listen to podcasts all the time. Literally, I love like fitness podcasts, health podcasts. I listen to them all the time so I can learn. So I'm continuously learning, and I'm listening to people that are way much older than me that have a lot more experience in fitness, that know what they're doing. They've been trainers for longer than I've been alive. So they know a lot more about what they're talking about than what I do. I just get on here and try to help people getting started. I'm not going into like the weeds of fitness and things like that because there's a lot more in depth you can get about in fitness. And I don't do that on this podcast because that's not what I'm going for. And realistically, I don't have the experience and the knowledge and things like that to actually go into the depth of that. So that's why I let people that have more experience, more education, things like that, I let them dive deep into it. This podcast is more about like getting people motivated, getting people wanting to work out, and starting with the basics, like the very basics of fitness. And we're not going too deep into the weeds because we just want to get people started. And then once you get started, you can kind of progress to them other podcasts where they dive a little bit more deep into fitness topics and exercises and nutrition and things like that. Because there's a lot more out there that I don't know and I'm still learning. And that's part of it. So depending on where you're at in your fitness journey, this may or may not be the podcast for you. If you're just getting started, I think it's a great place to start. And I can definitely help you out with that. But like I said, if you wouldn't trade places with me, then don't take advice from me. I mean, I'm not trying to say I'm any better than any of these other people either. Yeah, so why is it important to kind of live by this rule? So here's the big idea. Only take advice from people who have what you want. They have what you want. So for example, if you want to be strong, if you want to be healthy, listen to someone who's strong and healthy. Point blank period. If they're not strong and they're not healthy, don't listen to them. If you want to be happy, if you want to feel energized, listen to somebody that's happy and energized. Like, don't go to your grumpy neighbor that complains about everything and is mad when your dog poops in their yard. Like, okay, that may be a reason to complain, but that's beside the point. Like, don't go to somebody that's all grumpy and never in a good mood and hates the world. Like, find somebody that's happy and energized and learn from them. Like, it's pretty simple when you think about it. So how do you know if something is good advice? Like, how do you know if you should listen to these people or not? There's several ways, but An easy one is just to look at their life. Like if you don't know if it's good or bad advice, or you don't know if you should listen to people, look at their life. Are they where you want to be? So, for example, if you want to get in shape, is the person you're taking advice from, are they in shape? If you want to get more healthy, like is your doctor in shape? Or somebody has a great marriage. If you want some marriage advice, they've been married for 40 years. Hey, maybe that's a good person to take advice from. If they've been divorced 3 or 4 times, maybe that's not. So, are they where you want to be? Ask yourself that. Look at their life. Do a little research, and that's a good way. That's an easy way to kind of spot if it's good advice. The second way is, do they practice what they preach? So this goes back to my doctor's example. So if they say eat veggies, but they eating chips all day, that's a red flag. Like that's a red flag. Just throw up a red flag. Do they practice what they preach? So again, do a little research. You probably know the person, so you know what they do day in and day out. Are they practicing what they preach? If they're not, then you may not want to listen to them. You may not want to take advice from them. And now, like I said, that's not always the case. Sometimes these people that don't practice what they preach, they have good advice because they know what to do in their head, but they just don't do it. So I don't know why people do that, but that's the case sometimes. And the last little easy reason is, do they care about you? So good advice typically comes from people who want to help you, not just like show off or something like that. So do they care about you? Do you know this person? Do you know them personally? Do they have good integrity? Do they have good morals about them? Things like that. Are they a nice person? Like just typical like characteristics, good characteristics. So that's some easy ways to kind of spot some good advice. I know there's several more, but we'll just leave it at that. So yeah, I mean, this is going to be a short podcast topic. I don't really have much to dive deep into. I'm kind of just winging this podcast topic because I thought about this again the other day. It was like 2 weeks ago. I thought about it again. I wrote it down. I was like, ooh, I need to do a podcast topic on that. Because there was something that came up and I was like, yeah, I'm not going to take that advice. Like, I'm not going to listen to that. Now that I'm doing the podcast, of course, I can't think about what it was. But I decided to write and have a little list on my phone of all my podcast topics, and I wrote it down. So now we get around to it. But yeah, I just think this is a good rule and some good general advice to follow. So think about your goals. What are your goals? Do you want to be stronger? Do you want to be faster? Do you want to be healthier? Do you want to have a better marriage? Do you want to be advance in your career? That's another good example. Like if you want to advance in your career, find people in your job that has literally taken the path that you want to take. Like if you started out, like for example, I'm assistant project manager. Like if I want to go to a project manager, I should go around and start asking some of the project managers, like, what do they do? Or watch what they do. Follow them, take advice from them because they're where I want to be. Like I want to get promoted to that. That's where I want to go. So I would take some advice from them because they obviously know what to do. They've done it. So that'd be a good example, like in your career, the people that are above you that have went through the same path that you want to go through. That would be a great person to take some advice from because they've literally done exactly what you've done or exactly what you're trying to do. So yeah, just think about those goals and think about somebody that has done it before. Find people who have already done it, exactly what you're trying to do, and listen to them. And then ignore advice from anybody else that does not live the way that you want to live. Just ignore that. So if you want to be healthier, you want to start getting in shape, don't take advice from your friends that's sitting on the couch eating potato chips, playing video games. Like, it's probably not somebody you want to listen to. So yeah, that's my little spiel. I'm taking advice from people. It's pretty simple, plain and simple. But yeah, I really like this quote, and I live by this. I'm gonna live by this forever, honestly, because it makes too much sense not to. But yeah, just remember, never take advice from somebody that you wouldn't trade places with. Be smart about who you listen to, and this will ultimately help you reach your goals. If you're taking advice from the right people, it'll help you reach your goals better and quicker and faster. So that's all I got for y'all today. Short and sweet, to the point. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. I had a good time. Yeah, shout out the podcast. Follow Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. Subscribe. I appreciate it. Leave a like. Share with a friend. All the good things. Y'all know all the good things. Do the D for me. Y'all have a great week. Other than that, y'all have a great week. Appreciate y'all. Oh, I forgot to mention, March Madness is coming up this week. Shout out to Auburn, number one seed ever in history, even though we've been playing like crap. Like, I don't know what happened. We've lost 3 out of our last 4 games. So it's a great time for Auburn to start playing like crap. I don't know what they're doing, but we still somehow got the number one seed. I don't know how we did that. I don't think we deserve the number one seed, to be honest with you, the way we've been playing lately. I really don't. Hopefully we'll figure it out before the tournament starts, because it starts the next this coming up week. So yeah, next week. Hopefully we're still in it. Hopefully we can talk about this again, update y'all again next week. But yeah, shout out to all the teams that made it to the tournament. I love March Madness. I don't really watch much college basketball. I'll watch Auburn play. That's about it. But when March Madness starts, I love watching that. Like, I'll watch the whole tournament. I'll watch any game that's on during March Madness, because there's a lot of like really good games. Even if it's like the 1 seed versus the 16 seed. Like, sometimes the 16 seed will upset the 1 seed and stuff. So it's pretty cool. There's a lot of upsets. I like it. Don't forget to put your brackets in, y'all. Put your brackets in for March Madness, because you could win a lot of money. Yeah. Other than that, y'all have a great day. Peace, love, protein. We out.